Again, here we are. This is the fourth and final St Agnes race of this World Pilot Gig Championships 2025. Here we have the senior open category getting ready to go. We can hear some talk on the radio, so they seem to be moving up towards the start here. What are your thoughts, Lockie?
Well, at the moment, I can actually see a boat still coming towards the start. I don't know what's happening there. I know the start is fairly strict and might say move over, or they might go down and tow them away. But my thoughts today, I think, again, as usual, the men seem to have the better weather. I remember the women's racing many times. It never happened. Oh, hello. That was Steve, the drone man. It looks like we're getting the drone up. And
bear with us, sorry, just a minute while Steve gets sorted.
We'll just tell you now that the wind is pretty bad, and if we can't drone, we apologise now, but we've got enough other cameras on the boat to keep you in touch.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I'm not sure if I agree that this is better weather, to be honest. We're seeing a bit more blue sky, but I think that wind has picked up and it's maybe a little bit more choppy out here. So we're going to still have those really, really challenging conditions for the crews this afternoon. This is no mean feat rowing this race. So we're watching them row out with wind behind them. They're coming up here lovely, weren't they? I think it's the crew in the Irene we're waiting for over there. Whether or not the starters will wait for them though, that will be another question. But we can see the crews now really beginning to move up on the start line. So again, we've got a mix of tactics here. We've got those, the thoroughly competitive crews. They're really pushing towards the front. But it's interesting to see a couple of crews just sort of tucking in behind, going to be quite happy to take the tow into this headwind. Okay, we've also got, what's the tide doing now, Lockie? Are we I've lost track of that, if I'm honest.
It's coming in, if I remember right.
Right, yeah, okay, yeah. We'll have to get Ryan to check that one for us. But yeah, the crews are in this open category of the seniors event. They're beginning to move up on the line. They're certainly beginning to think about it. I think the Irene crew has made it in behind the lines. We're running a little bit later than the published schedule at the moment, but I think, given the conditions, I think everybody will understand. It was important to make sure those last crews in the ladies' race, they got in safely and they were given the time required to complete the course, because obviously we want as many crews as possible in those nut rock races.
Indeed, and fair play to them. They didn't give up. The women came in. I think one might have had a little bit of assistance just to get round the corner, but it is a hard race. And 9 out of 10 to some, 10 out of 10 to the rest.
So really looking at these crews now, they're really thinking about it. They're moving up on the line. Now, I just remind you the way that the start work here, the starter won't give you any help getting, they won't tell you if you're over the line within that minute before the race, you will be disqualified. Now, we'd really hope, given the tidal conditions and given the headwind, that no crew. We just had 30 seconds to go there, though. I can see that it looks like the Cadgwith boat and a Salcombe boat there are getting themselves into quite a muddle there on the start line. They're trying to disentangle themselves. That is not the start that any crew would want to this event. So yeah, we're hearing the countdown. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and they are off. So here we go, the final St Agnes race of the World Pilot Gig Championships 2015 is off to a start. We've got some interesting lines being taken here from some gigs who seem to be going up the line rather than towards St Mary's, but they've corrected it now, and nicely done. Okay, we're also seeing a little bit of clashing at the blades here. That Langston crew, they're just working to get free of the crews around them. So already, I'm looking at Gibraltar down the line here. She's really bobbing up and down. It's a bit like we saw Voos in the women's race. Just really trying to get some weight down into that bow, trying to really just find their rhythm in these conditions. And again, like we stressed during the ladies' race, this is the seeding race, so there is no medals, there are no awards. It used to be the case, Lockie, that you got a case of beer for winning this race. But in 20, yeah, now I tell Lockie, in 2025, that's no longer the case. It's all about the Nut Rock races. So the crews they'll be racing with that in the back of their mind. Those top crews, they'll just want to get into the A heat, and they'll worry about finding their feet a little bit later on. So,
and you were right, by the way. The weather is rougher. We were in a little area that just seemed to be flatter, and it was warmer. But looking at over here now, you can see the bows and the sterns putting up loads of white water, and this really is rough. It's going to be a hard row home.
And all credit to Steve, our drone man, because despite this really quite unpleasant headwind we're going into, we have the drone up, and it's sending you the footage which you can see now. So all credit to Steve. He really is quite phenomenally skilled at this, and landing it on a boat. Honestly, I've now seen it in action. I am even more impressed. So what we're doing now is we're just working our way down the line. I can see Phantom there doing a really good job, sort of heading in towards this headwind. They're one of the crews that decided to start a little further back and allow the faster crews to go first. And they're just really finding their way, working down to the bottom part of this line. Again, we would assume the bottom part of this line is the line where you've got the advantage. A little less tide, a little less headwind. And we can see, I assume it's the Coverack crew there. Are just pushing on this side. We can clearly see them up. I can see one of the Helford crews. There's a lot of pressure on the Helford B crew this year, because they think it's their best opportunity of managing to get 3 gigs into the Isles of Scilly Championships next year. We had a change of rules a few years ago now. Most clubs only get 1, but if you manage to get a crew in the top heat, you can have a second, and if you get 2 crews in the top heat, you can get a third. So Helford, the biggest gig club that there is, they've got over 200 members. All credit to what they're doing for the rowing at that club. They really want to get that third boat, so I know Helford B really have their club in mind here when they're trying to push up. So I can see we're coming past Averack, who are doing a really nice job. We've got the Ralph Bird here, rowing beautifully, the Ralph Bird there, considering the really quite difficult conditions. Their timing and their connection together there is just absolutely spot on. So all credit to Porthgain there. You should be really proud of the way you're rowing there. That really looks superb. I can also see the Morlaid with the Penryn gig over there. We're coming up the outside. Lightning Dart, they're having a really good weekend. It's lovely to see so many crews from Dart up there contesting these high places. So yeah, I think I can see, as we move up now, I can see that Helford B crew, that Moor, they're doing really well here too. This is Ryan's pick of the line. He thinks that this line is the best, and we've got a fair old, few salty sea dogs in that boat. Maybe they've been having a look at the wind and the tide charts with in the same style that Ryan has. They're really sort of neck and neck with Morva. It's hard for me at the moment I wouldn't like to call this. There's some boats on the far side. Again, this is a bit like the ladies race earlier, where we saw Voos really coming down from the top, but we can see some crews there. I can see a white boat, but I can't see the red blades, so I do not think that's Caradon, but come back to me on that one, because I could be correct, but we certainly got a good showing from the Coverack crew here. I know they've had quite a few crew changes this year, so it's really good to see that one of the clubs in Cornwall, which hasn't got the largest membership, but they really pack a punch, Coverack, especially they're getting their women in the top heat, and we're seeing their men. Their men have been really pushing into the top positions over the last couple of years, and it's great to see them, despite losing a few rowers this year, still pushing it into this top heat. Okay, showing the strength and depth that club has is just brilliant to see. I can see Ictus there on the far side. The Mounts Bay boat, they seem to be going very well there. We've also got, again, I've seen that Helford B. I think it's the Emma Louise I can see. Is that possible? I could be wrong there. I'm not sure. As we move our way across here, we've got quite a collection of boats on the far side there. We'll have to bear with them as we head sort of in to St Mary's. We'll be able to see them a little bit. I'm looking over my right shoulder and I can see the channel marker. When I was rowing, this was always the moment when I thought things are getting better. We're gonna begin to hit the lure this island. I can see that white boat now quite clearly. I can see the red underside of Carradine, because Carradine and Dowling, they're really getting thrown around quite a lot here. And I'm pretty sure I can see the blue bows of Lou. Absolutely no surprise there. Anybody that's been following the World Pilot Gig Championships over the last couple of years will know that Lou have utterly dominated this Open Seniors event. So that is not a great surprise. I can see a varnish boat on the outside. I am assuming that is the Falmouth crew, but we haven't got eyes on that yet.
The word is from our spotter with the binoculars that it's Voo's out in front currently, and they seem to be up the north side of the line with all the tripper boats you might be able to just see in the distance. So Voo's look like the early leaders. Zelda in second currently, but it's early days in this race. There's a long way to go. There's a lot of chop, just as it was for the women's senior as well. We're just right down on the south end. We're coming up towards Bartholomew Ledges again, so the red buoy and the red stick as you see in the water. That means we're about 300 metres away from the Stevel. We're just in front, we're level with the leaders at the moment, and there's crews down here on the inside of us as well, which are maybe a couple hundred metres behind us. So still early stages in this race, still a long way to go. Lots of runners and riders, but it's going to be just the same as the women with the conditions. Very, very choppy, very much like a washing machine, but as we get further in, conditions do improve a little bit, and then they get nasty again off the end of the quay as you get all the backwash off the back of the quay wall.
So Voos, it's interesting, we're seeing, so that is the Helford A crew, and it's interesting what we're seeing there. This season they've had a few rowers return to them joyfully that were part of their junior programme but have been away working, university, and they've come back and reformed, and I think we're seeing the sort of, that's, you know, real credit to Helford, because that's absolute strength and depth in the squad, and that's impressive. I'm pretty sure as well that we can see Falmouth. We would expect them, everybody will be remembering that final that we had last year, and we had neck and neck between Carradine and Falmouth. Carradine were victorious there, so it's Lou were victorious. Sorry, I do apologise. Getting carried away, getting confused with the age category events there. We're not sure yet. I can also see the blue bow of Toby from Newquay there as well. This really looks very close. It really does look like Voos are way out in the lead there, but that might just be a slight optical illusion from where we're viewing it. We are in the Stream Team boat, just we're just coming under St Mary's now, so we're on the sort of St Mary's side of this line. It's famously notoriously difficult to see exactly what is going on, but we can thank you. We can certainly see the Lou boat there. We can see, as I say, that Voos boat out in the lead, and then when I cast my eyes back, we've got a real pack, a real sort of melee of rowers and boats behind there, really pushing their way through these very, very choppy conditions. What we're expecting to happen in the weather this weekend is we're expecting it to get a little bit. It's going to be still the wind's swinging around a little bit, but we're expecting there to be some wind tomorrow, but it will not be as breezy as it has been today. So that is what we are expecting for the rest of the day's competition. So the crews are really coming into focus now, and like I say, it is Voos way out into the lead. We think we've got Spur coming up behind, and then we've got, I would say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 crews in a line. We're saying it could be Whitford. We're not quite sure it's Whitford. We've got Whitford there. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant rowing from all involved. Okay. Again, I'm looking at that bow of the Andowlan, the Carradine crew. They really are bouncing around. It's really stressing to us how difficult these conditions are for these rowers today. But the Voos crew, this is unexpected. There was a lot of talk about Carradine, there's a lot of talk about Lou after the results of this year, but here are Helford. We've already seen them coming in the lead with their women, and now they're doing the same with their men. Okay, they were 7th last year, the Helford A crew, so this really is a great result for them so far.
I was sat with the lads from Helford and a pint of beer the other night down on the beach when they brought the crews this year that they could spring a surprise.
Could we have Helford 1-1 in the women's and the open senior event? It looks possible now. Also, I'd like to stress that this is the part of the line which we thought was going to be a disadvantage. So, if they're producing this result from that end of the line, maybe that's an ominous start for the weekend. But maybe we're just wrong in that. We could, the seas around St Mary's are notoriously fickle, and tides make a huge impact. So it really looks like we've got Voos and I would say Anne Dowling, the Carradine crew. They look like they're in second. The open categories so far in the age group categories have been dominated by Carradine, and here we are seeing the strength and depth of their squad through to their senior crews. So just to remind you, senior crews, essentially there is no age limit here. You only have to be over the age of 16 to row at the World Pilot Gig Championships. You have to be 18 to be a cox. It's all age categories in the senior. It's all ages in the senior group. So we can see it really looks like we've got Voos on the outside. Maybe they're still pulling away there. They've got considerable length here on the other crews. They're rowing beautifully. Then we've got the spur on the outside to Anne Dowling, the Carradine crew in 3. Then it looks like we've got Blackrock in 4 and Wenwick, sorry, I do apologise, they're very similar. And then on the outside there we've got, is it Whitford the white boat? Is that, yeah, we've got Whitford the white boat. So, doing fantastically. We can also see Teen there. We can see Newquay. And can you tell me what that Varnish Zoris? Oh, apologies. No, okay. Zoris from Cadgwith is there. They are up there. Is it the which is the Varnish boat with the light blue on it? Can we confirm? Avona. So that is that's Clifton. So really great to see a new club absolutely mixing it up at the front of this course. Ryan, your thoughts so far, please?
Yeah, what challenging conditions. Just watching Voos at the front taking some big waves over the bow, really bouncing around, and they've got the cleanest water of everyone. There's no wash for them. But we're just coming off the back. We're past the Stevel. We're making our way up towards the Newman. Voos probably about 300 metres away from the Newman, which is then a turn into thing. They'll start to enjoy a little bit of flatter water, but this wind has freshened, I think. It's come around a little bit more strong from the northeast, so there's not much shelter for these crews on any part of this course anymore. So as they come into Harbour, they'll really have to watch the wash as they come in. But we've got Voos in first, Anne Dowling in second, Spur in third, Wenwick in fourth.
The interesting thing is reigning champions Curragh's Pride from Lou, they are back in 10th. They've got to be a bit careful here that they don't find themselves in that second heat. I don't quite know the game they're playing here. Maybe they're just, they've just had a bad start. Maybe there wasn't something we saw, clash of oars, that kind of thing, come together. And they've just decided again, like I keep stressing, it's one, and I mean, Helford are really getting a psychological blow in here because I think they are 7 lengths up on Anne Dowling, the Carradine crew. So, it's yeah, you want to win this race, but also if you find yourself in bad conditions, if you find yourself a bit caught up, perhaps that's what happens to Curragh's Pride. Then you just don't worry about it. Know that you're just coming in to get in that top heat positions.
And for the crews in positions they might not necessarily expect it, it gives you a real boost at the start of your weekend. If you come in a really decent result in this race, and maybe not quite, maybe a bit higher than you were expecting to come, it gives you a real boost going into the races for the rest of the weekend. It is difficult, this race. There are going to be crews which had advantages on the line and crews that had disadvantages. Crews around them, maybe a bit of tussling on the blades on the line, maybe hitting it a bit of wash in the wrong place and stuff. And it's really, and as the start line is so wide, getting everyone kind of in the same sort of distance from the finish is a real challenge. I know the course setters do an amazing job, and it's all very cleverly GPS tracked, and the distance from each buoy is the same to the finish line, or I think it's to the Newman point, from all points of the course. We're just approaching towards the Newman now. I can see the safety boat just about ready to sit on there, just to usher everyone around in case there's any incidents. I think the crews, especially in the women earlier, are being very sensible on their approach, and I didn't see any clashing at all. Hopefully that will carry on for this race. Voos currently in front very comfortably from Anne Dowling in second. Wenwick and Spur battling for third at the moment, about level. Wenwick maybe just breaking through Spur. Then we've got a gap back to Toby, Teen Spirit, and then behind that we've possibly Zelda, I think it is, I can see, which might be a St Mary's boat. Currers Pride, Zoras and Whitford.
So I just did a little comparison there. I looked at Arwennick and Voos's stroke rates. We've got Voos coming in here at 30 strokes per minute, and we've got Arwennick at 34. So this is a really, really dominant performance from this Helford crew. They're not stressed here. It's also quite interesting to see that the 3-rower and Voos is rowing hands on top. Very sort of a tall individual, really getting that reach forwards. Okay, they're rowing beautifully. They're really together here. They've just got that real rhythm that they're hitting despite the super challenging conditions. I've just watched their bow really bouncing up and down.
I can see their bow rower. I can just see his t-shirt flapping underneath his left-hand arm, and it is absolutely soaking wet. He is drenched through, so that'll be fun for him. I'm sure he'll change his clothes when I get into the line. It is Helford are rowing a very smooth, as I said, a very strong, very smooth stroke. They're all perfectly together. Some rowers in the boat rowing a little bit shorter, some rowing a little bit longer. I think the taller ones maybe not having to lean quite back as far as some of the shorter ones in the boat. But what they're doing most importantly is rowing well together. They're in time. The bodies are moving in time, blades are moving in time, the parallel blades all at the same points of the stroke. So that's why they're doing comfortably in this position, and they're just sort of cementing their lead here. They seem to be just eking out. They don't look like they're necessarily trying to, but they're just doing it effortlessly. And that's the key on gig rowing. It's making it look effortless. And they're coming along. We're just got round the Newman, and Dowland coming up on the Newland now in second, and Arwennick in third.
I just got a very cheeky smile from George, the stroke rower of Helford. They are in control. They are calm. They are sending out quite the message to the rest of the field here. This is not the result we were expecting. At the start of the race, we were talking about Lou, we were talking about Falmouth, we were talking about Carradon. And here we've got Helford absolutely dominating this St Agnes race, whereas we've really got Currers Pride a little bit further back. We'll have to go and try and catch them up with them later on and see if they're okay. See if we've got an explanation for what's going on here, because they are phenomenal rowers, Lou. And to be honest, though we're not seeing the best of them today, I have every faith that comes tomorrow afternoon, I am going to be calling their name. I still back Lou for a podium position. But again, we're seeing this Carradon crew, such beautiful technique from this crew that we've seen all the way through these races, whether it's their masters, their super vets or their vets. And here we've got their open senior crew doing much the same thing. The power coming off that blade. I just think my feedback from a coaching tip would be just to really think about holding that feather into this headwind. It's so important. If you can make yourself that little bit more aerodynamic, you will move faster. Arwennick have really cleared spur now, and I'm just looking at the sort of body posture of Arwennick. I would say they're pretty chilled. We've got Amelia there just looking around. I think they're quite happy to row in from here.
Yeah, they are. They're not running a fast stroke rate at all. Truro maybe marginally faster just behind them, and Dowden maybe marginally faster in front of them. But at this stage of the race for these guys, it doesn't really matter. They're comfortably in their positions. They're comfortably qualified for this afternoon. They'll just want to be getting across the line. And they will want to be rowing well, though. They won't want to be feeling unsettled in the boat. That's the key thing. Although, they want to be conserving energy for the races, they won't want to exert too much this afternoon, and they certainly won't want to exert too much tomorrow morning. They still will want to row well together. They want to make sure the boat's moving well and they're feeling the rhythm in the boat.
Yeah, Falmouth coming past at 27 strokes a minute there, and we've got Spur up round 30. I don't think either of these crews. I think either of these crews are very happy to be in the positions they're in. They're old hands at this. Those Truro rowers know exactly what they're doing here. They're just very pleased to be in that top heat. They're now thinking about getting in. They're thinking about how quickly they can get their warm layers on. They're thinking about how quickly they can get some food in prior to the Nut Rock heats this afternoon. And I've just been told, sorry, because I was focusing on a little bit further back, exemplary rowing, well done Helford, across the line. It's going to be a quick turnaround from George there, who's got to get himself dry and then out to Cox their Ladies A. Currers Pride, we're just beginning to see move up here, so just to remind you of the positions, we have Voos over the line, clear, then we have Carradon in Andow Lynn, they are in second. We have Arwennick from Falmouth, they are in third. We have Spur from Truro, they are in fourth. We have Toby from Newquay in fifth. We have Whitford on the outside there, which is Appledore. Lockie is delighted, but Team Spirit are moving up on the inside. I can hear their cocks really going for it. My advice to them would be relax, don't worry, you're in the top heat, you've done a fantastic job. We've got Mora here, we've got the Kovrak crew, they've fallen back a little bit from where they were at the beginning, but again they're still in their top heat. They'll still be delighted. We've got Zelda there on the outside. I believe that's the first island boat that I've seen.
11.
Right, okay, so we've got Kara's Pride and Zoros. They are in 10 and 11 here. So for that all-important position, 12th is between Spriggan, that is the Charlestown crew, and then Rogue that we've got in the foreground here. It's really tight between these two crews. Rogue is Ilfracombe, so brilliant. I think that might be our first Devon club that we've seen over the line. So well done, Ilfracombe. Oh, Whitford, sorry. Appledore, apologies. Right, so Rogue, we are really seeing them moving up now on Charles, and they really, really want that 12th position. Spriggan look quite happy again to row in. They know they've got 2 heats to get into that Heat A, and that will be their aim. So we're now here with the Mounts Bay crew. The rowers really are looking very wet. It has been pretty wild out there. Getting yourself warm, getting yourself dry is going to be the absolute priority for these rowers. We've also got the Anne Glanville coming in here. So this is the Carradon B crew. Again, showing us the strength and depth. Well done, Carradon, for getting those 2 crews into the top 2 heats. And we've also got the Helford boat, the B crew. This is the crew I was telling you about earlier. They really want to be in that top heat. They want to be in that top heat to secure for their club that 3rd boat. Then on the outside, we've got Carrick, Truro. That's a B crew as well. So again, really good strength and depth for these clubs. Well done, Truro. Fantastic rowing. Just pushing up towards them is Hope, which is the Newquay crew. We've got Governor on the outside, we've got Wasp, and we've got Black Rock. So two Falmouth crews very close to each other. They're going to want to win that. Then we've got Talisman, that's the other Loo boat, rowing really powerfully towards the end. Well done, guys. What a way to finish the race. Amazon on the outside, that's Carradon. We've then got Gallios coming across here. Again, a bit like it was earlier in the ladies' race, there's some really nasty chop here where it's kind of hitting the wall and reverberating back out. It's quite unpleasant for the rowers. We have got Torrent here and Setueo, that's the St Agnes boat. So well done, really lovely to see. Again, powerful rowing into the finish here. The quality that we're seeing right down through the heats here is brilliant. Emma Louise, another Islander crew there, really just pushing this final bit, upping the stroke rate, as we've got from Padstow. Padstow are really pushing out the finishes of their stroke. Then we've got Zeeland, and we've got another Varnish boat. I think it's Gibraltar. On the outside there, I could be wrong, I'll check that. We've got Zorn from Flushing and Myler. We've got Dew of the Sea. We have got Grace. We have got Beacon. We've got Ammonite. And they are coming thick and fast here. We have Q. We're just bringing the drone in just to make sure it's got the right batteries. But even they look like they've had a little bit of a tussle because their bow fender's hanging off. Their women are going to want to sort that out before going out to Nut Rock. They're just having a real tussle with Tregarthens. But we've got Lightning really moving up on the inside here. Powerful rowing, Dart. Well done. That is quite the way to finish this race. On the outside there, we've got Goose. We've got Petrock from Padstow here. We've got Heart of Hailing in the foreground. Absolutely throwing everything at the end of this race. Then we've got a 3-horse race here between Catalina of Catwater. We've got Speedwell, which has got a Carradon crew. We've got Gavednek, we've got Jeanette, we've got Faith of Devon here. We have got Volanti. On the outside, we've got Alfie Jenkins, the Tresco boat. We've got Template in the middle here from Teen. We've got Shah, an island boat. One of the older boats that we seem to see coming this far up in the competition. Really is quite something. That's a Helford boat with Jim Britton Longin, another individual who rode the Atlantic this year. So the St Agnes race is going to feel like nothing for Jim.
We've also got a couple of under-25s competing here today. We've got Hope, which has already gone through the line, so well done to them. And we've got Emperor, which we haven't quite seen yet, but we'll look out for them as they come along. So 2 under-25s competing in the seniors today. But coming across the line, we've got Isolde, we've got Malusin, we've got Shelley Maid, all in a line. Alfie Jenkins just in front of them. Then coming up fast behind, we've got Troy, we've got Rapparee, we've got Tempest, we've got Windspit. It's all coming through in rapid succession. We've got Seven Spirit behind, Bolster, crews are really coming in. Haven't again seen any clashing as yet. Everyone's rowing sensibly through the line. Everyone seems to be giving each other plenty of space in these challenging conditions. Normally, I've been doing this for a long time now, and there is always some clashing on this race. So something that's said at the coxswains meeting must have been said. Esther, you went to it. Did they say anything about clashing?
They were very, very clear. If you took the rudder off another boat, then you were going to get disqualified. So crews just would not want to do that. We got Polvar from Roseland on the inside here. They look to me to be cruising in. Millie Edwards there in the cox's seat, a veteran of many, many World Pilot Gig Championships. Energetic on the outside there, the Porthleven boat. We've also got Porthurst here. Then I'm just looking down. Lockie is really making a charge for the line here. We've got Kenza on the outside there. So Bude and Lockie really pushing through. We've got Penarrow from Flushing and Myler there as well. Then we've got Pentagon, we've got Pulpit Rock, and we've got a little break here back to the Sulcombe boat, Cadmus. Crikey, how many times have I said that boat's name this weekend? Again, Sulcombe having an amazing showing at the World Pilot Gig Championships. We've seen that boat in many of the finals, so well done Sulcombe, you are doing a great job. And then on the outside there we have got Arveth. Then we've got the second Roseland crew that I've spotted, the boat Killigaran. We've got Mischief from Bristol, and on the outside we've got Swift. Again, I'm just noticing, Ryan, that bow fender up. I think there's been a little bit of tussle in there.
Possibly, but there has been a lot of chop. So if it was tied on loosely, the waves coming over the bow might have lifted that. But we'll wait to see if there's a steward's inquiry after the race. I'm sure there'll be a story to tell if there is. We've got Osprey just coming through now, Swift punching through, and then in the line behind we've got Len White from Appledore. We've got Endurance, we've got Islander, and then behind them we've got Shocking on the outside. Conditions are challenging, but these crews seem to be rowing through really well. There seems to be levering the oars through nicely and getting through that finish line.
And we've got Bolt here as well from Sulcombe, doing a great job coming across the lines. These boats looking really composed. And Owen as well. Bow fender up on that one. I'm wondering, they're also quite low in the water, that one. I wonder if they've taken on a little bit of water there. They look absolutely fine, safe to get to the line, but that is noticeable. We will have to check that one out. Mightiness and Melan are on the back there. They're having a good tussle with Tristan. Then we've got Florence on the foreground here with Morleda from Penryn in the background. We've got the Ralph Bird there. Again, out in every competition. Well done, brilliant to see you here. The Brissons here from Cape Cornwall really pushing up into their very close geographical rivals. St Ives on the outside there in Fortitude. We've got Cobra, we've got St Elvin. That's the second Porthleven boat that I've clocked coming across. We've got a little gap here that just back to a little group here with Peveril and Gallaty leading the charge. It's good to see. I think we're seeing the final crews now coming around the Newman mark. So they're really, these, we can't stress, just like we were with the women, these conditions here today. For most of the commentary today, I've had somebody holding onto the back of my life jacket to keep me thoroughly anchored to the boat. So it really is a challenge here. So we've got Peveril just coming through. They got a bit of GoPro footage. We'd love for you to share that with us, Peveril, if that would be at all possible, Swanage. Then on the outside here we've got Gallaty. Just windmilling a little bit. I think the fatigue of this particularly long race is really beginning to hit in. Then we've got in a line, we've got Lark, we've got Golden Gear, we've got Avrak. I'm just doing a little time check here. I reckon we're up around 29 minutes, which is just shows you how difficult the conditions have been today. Then we've got Nipper, we've got Grace O'Malley, and on the outside there from Crantock we've got Ganel Maid. Bonnet 1830, being rowed by Yelm. Again, brilliant to see some of these vintage boats out on the water, still mixing it with the younger boats. We've got Valkyrie on the far side there. Then we've got Daedalus, back to Blackbird, and then Black to Volt. And again, the boat that we can see coming through us, another one of the traditional boats here. We've got the Dolphin coming through, and that's Portishead we've got in Dolphin.
I'm just looking back towards the corner, which is past the Newman and back towards the Stebble. There's still quite a number of crews battling through, so we've still got a little way to go in this race for all these crews get to the finish line. Watch what we had in the women's. There's some really challenging conditions today, so crews will be working hard to get themselves across the finish line. I think they'll be glad of doing the Nut Rocks this afternoon. It won't be fun waiting around out there. It's going to be quite windy. You might want to tuck yourself in. Hopefully you might get a little bit of lee from Tresco if you're getting close enough, but watch yourself on the tides. Make sure you don't hit any rocks. But coming in this afternoon, there will be a little tailwind. There is enough north in this, I think, just to give you a little push down that last that leg into St Mary's for the Nut Rock heats this afternoon. So fingers crossed it won't be such a slog for these crews. We've got quite a gap now. Just had a couple of tripper boats go past us in using this gap while they're waiting. We had Volt go through. We've now probably got about a 20 length gap, and we're waiting for Brilliant next, and they're coming up. That's Brilliant from Bridport. Behind them we've got Christina H, we've got Double Dutch, we've got Brew, and I think I spy possibly the Nornor just behind. I see one of the island boats. But Brilliant doing well here, just comfortably holding off Christina H behind them, maybe a half a length of clear water, and they'll just be glad to get in, I think, get over that finish line and into the shore and a dry change of clothes. It is very, very messy out here. That bit in the middle, just off the start, was very messy. We've seen quite a few there's another bow fender hanging off on another boat. I think that's the third or fourth we've actually spotted. I'm sure there've been a lot more where they've been sort of pushed around in the slop from the chop, where the bows have been bouncing around in these conditions. Brilliant doing well, pushing through, half a length from Christina H. And we've got Double Dutch coming through. And then we've got Nornor.
It's quite interesting to see the Barrow and the Brilliant there. He's decided to keep his splash jacket on and the hood's up, and I do not blame him. He is a sensible man, keeping himself nice and dry. So we've got the Nornor crew now coming through again. This is one of the boats from the islands. It's brilliant to see them out here, mixing it with the mainland gigs, seeing all of these gigs together. Claire, can you just confirm how many gigs do we have in this? Oh, she's going to come back to us. It's on the tip of her tongue. She'll let us know. But we had 129 in the women's, and I imagine it's very similar for the open seniors. So yeah, we see these crews coming through now. We've got another little group that's just coming up on us here. Rafe, our skipper, is doing an excellent job of just keeping us tucked in underneath the harbour wall here, so we can watch all of the crews come in. And I got to say, big hand out for the people on the wall. I turned around sort of like 10 when we saw Voos come in. It was absolutely lined. There must have been 50 people plus having a peek over the wall, letting us have a little view. How's it going? So we got 127. So the women had 2 more crews than the men. So we can see these crews coming up on us now. We've got Phoenix here in the foreground. Then we've got Golden Eagle, another one of the traditional Solonian boats.
Yeah, Golden Eagle, I've got a Clevedon crew, and so one of the borrowed boats this weekend. So we've got Phoenix, Golden Eagle, and then Pegasus. And then behind that we have Emperor, which is the second of our under-25s crews competing in the Open this weekend. So they've done really well. Quite a lot of boats behind them. I can still see them as far as the eye can see. I can still see them trickling. I think I can just see the safety boats now on the end, which usually follow the last boats in. So they're just making their way up towards the Newman. But coming across the line now, it's Phoenix and Golden Eagle. We've got Pegasus from Brixham. We've got Emperor, the under-25s crew, and Emperor. And then we've got Avona. So I think we said Avona was at the start of the race earlier. That was a mistake. That was Zelda, same colour scheme. But Avona is now here. We've then got Zeus, and we've got one I've not seen this one before, and a pronunciation, Esther, you might know.
Iceni. Did we not know what? Sorry. A little bit. I'm a history teacher. Iceni was the tribe that Boadicea belonged to. That was there we go. So yeah, a little bit.
Every day's a school day.
Every day's a school day with Miss Aldridge on board. Sorry. Right, and we've got the Hurricane coming in here. They're doing lovely little exhibition rowing here as they head into the finish. So we can also see Ross Carrick here from Port Isaac. My friend Caroline, big fan of Port Isaac. She will be absolutely delighted to see them here today. I haven't seen them around much lately. Then we got Minadoo coming in from Rame again. A stalwart of the gig rowing scene. Brilliant to see Minadoo here. Then back from them, I believe we've got the Bristol crew, we've got Concord. Sorry, we're trying to land a drone on a boat right now, and trust me, this has to be seen to be believed. I think it's some of the footage we need to get up is Steve landing a drone on a boat. It's impressive stuff. Good catch in there, Ryan. So we've got Minadoo just coming past us here from Rame. Again, they look very relaxed. They're enjoying this row into the finish line. They're giving us a few smiles as they come past. Brilliant effort. Well done. We've then got the Concorde crew from Bristol coming in here, and then on the outside there we have got Epic Energy 2. So the Bristol Cox is really, she can relax here, to be honest. She's not going to catch the boat in front. She's also not going to get caught, but she's still really cooling her crew here into the finish line.
And that's something to be said. It's really nice to know from a rowing perspective when your coxswain is still giving you that encouragement, telling you how far you've got to go and getting you across that finish line. Really important. Looking down the back of the field now, I can see the last stragglers coming in now. So all the tripper boats have stayed out and are following the last ones in. The safety boats behind them as well. So that is a sign to me that that is the last of the field. We're here alongside Epic Energy, just about to come across the finish line. We've then got probably about a 10 length back to Sarika, which is being rowed by Hale, I'm informed. Excellent. And then in the distance you can see sort of the rest of the boats now, sort of the flotilla coming in. They're all reasonably close together. See Gibraltar, and I think I can see Phantom in the distance as well. You've got 3 tripper boats there. You've got the St Mary's lifeboat, which is used for this long race. Both the women and the open is always traditionally used as a start boat. So the starter hops aboard there, goes up onto the top helm position, and they've got a really good viewing platform down the line. And they start the race. The RNLI kindly start the race for the seniors, for the women, and for the open. And then the starter, I think, will be coming in, having a quick coffee, and straight back out for the women's open heats this afternoon, round 2 of the Nut Rock. And they'll be down on Nut Rock all day, and as you know, the starter doesn't like to hang around. The heats get going and going, so make sure you listen to the instructions when you're out there this afternoon. Get in your lanes and your lane markers when you're told to. Listen ahead, listen to the groups that are coming up, and just make sure you're ready. You've got your splash jackets off and all that sort of stuff. And I can see another boat. It looks like Henry Smarden, which is another bow fender casualty.
Absolutely. We can just see a Zook being brought in here as well. I wonder that they might have had a bit of a problem, but thank you very much for the safety boat for assuring that everybody makes it to the finish line today. And we've got this last real group of clubs coming in now. So we've got Gibraltar, which is from, I did just check this, from RM Tamar. We have then got Phantom, which are joining us from North Norfolk. So welcome to the Scilly Isles. I hope you're enjoying your time in Cornwall. We've got Henry Smarden over there, and as Ryan said, missing a bow fender. So maybe they've had a less than ideal row in the melee. It is really difficult. I do have absolute sympathy for these coxes, because not only are you surrounded by boats out there, also these conditions, these chopping. If your rudder's out of the water, then you have no control over your boat. So sometimes these clashes are unavoidable. We've got the Irene crew coming in now. They're really rowing strongly into the finish. It's interesting to see that their bow rowers decided to keep waterproofs on as well. Again, I think personally, having spent many a season rowing in the bow, I have complete sympathy for that position. You do get absolutely soaking wet. It is the downside of that seat. So fair enough. Total respect for that position. Then we have got at the back here, we have got Western Spirit, and they are slogging it out against Star of Northey. I can really hear the coxes from Star of Northey really pushing her crew on, pretty determined to get to the finish line in front of Western Spirit. And then if I look back here, we have got Cockleshell, and that is Aramay, and then we've got the Slip-In, which are bringing up the rear for us this afternoon, but who are determined to finish this race, and we completely applaud them. I'm sure all of these crews are just looking forward to getting involved in the heats this afternoon and seeing what they can do. So Slip-In has got a Flushing and Myler crew in it this afternoon, so they're just coming to the finish. So we're watching the last 3 or 4 boats just across the line here. I'm glad to say Azook seems to be they've been dropped off by the safety boat and they seem to be rowing in, so we really hope that everything is okay on board the Azook. So here we go, we've got the Slip-In crew here, containing Flushing and Myler rowers coming in. That is a very long kit they've got there, Ryan. That must be making life a lot harder for them.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen paddles like that for a long time. It looks like the shafts of the oars are painted as well, so not a common feature, but fiberglass possible. That's not race legal, is it? It can't be on fiberglass oars. I don't think it will have caused them any advantage because they're currently in the wooden spoon position. So, but well done them getting across the line. This is really challenging conditions.
It's interesting to see there, and it's quite often like the hidden sort of science behind rowing though is blades, because if you look there at the slip-ins blades, they really are very narrow. There's a fine balance to be hit between your blades being narrow so you can get them through the water, but also big enough that you can really get a lot of weight down. It's often that you actually see crews have gone the other way and their blades are too big and they're over-geared instead. But anyway, that brings us to the end of the St Agnes races. We have got 3 Nut Rock races to look forward to.
Yes, 3 more for each round. We've got 2 this afternoon. We've got the women coming up next, and then we have the Open coming up later. They're due to start at 15:15. I don't think that's going to happen. These Agnes races have taken a lot longer than I think they anticipated with these wind conditions. But we'll bring you the live stream as soon as we're ready to go, as soon as all the boats have managed to come in. Probably be bailed out, maybe pulled up the beach and the bungs taken out, I think, for some of them, certainly. And then we'll go in, have a quick stop, maybe a quick coffee, and then we'll get back out and we'll bring you coverage of the Nut Rocks this afternoon. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. See if Healthgood can maintain this stonking form that they've had in the St Agnes races. Thank you very much.